Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss 10 question of next 2016 paper. It's paper 2. As we all knows, this paper is very important, and as for the brief idea about what type of questions do UPSC ask with the students. So there are syllabus. First of all, we are going to discuss the syllabus. All right. What is the syllabus? So this is the paper 2, but we called the paper 3 in UPSC mains. So Indian Constitution, function and responsibility of the union and state, issue and challenges, federal structure, devolution of power, finance up to local level for challenges, and separation of power between various organ, dispute redressal mechanism, comparison of the Indian Constitution schemes, Parliament and state legislature structure, functioning, conduct of business, power and privileges, and issue arising of these, structure, organization, and functioning of the executive and judiciary, ministry, department of government, pressure groups, formal and informal associations. So this is the basic syllabus of UPSC in paper 2. Okay, structure, organization, functioning of executive and judiciary, council of minister, pressure group, formal and informal associations. Okay, salient feature of representation of pupil act, appointment to various constitutional posts like power, function and responsibilities, statutory, regulatory and various quasi-judicial bodies, government policies, intervention for development in various sectors and issues arising of the design and implementation, and development process and development industry like NGO, self-help group and association, donor, charity, institution, welfare schemes for vulnerables and mechanism, law, institutional and bodies and all that. Next is like development of management of social sector, health, education and human resources. Next is poverty and hunger. Next is accountability, transparency and governance and e-governance issue. Next is role of civil society and democracy. Next is neighborhood relations, and next is bilateral, regional and global grouping and agreements. Next is politics and political development. Next is important international institution and agencies, and these are some questions, some syllabus part which is very relevant to the UPSC. Okay, now we are going to discuss question number 1. Okay, so this question is about discuss the essential 69 Constitutional Amendment Act anomalies and have led to recent report conflict between elected representative and institution of the lieutenant government in administration of Delhi. So we are going to discuss the 69 Constitutional Amendment Act and 1991 came into effect on 1 February 1992. So Article 238 AA and 239 AB making provision for Legislative Assembly and Council of Minister designating to Delhi as national capital territory. So it's a national capital territory that is designated by Article 238 AA and 239 AB. Okay, now Article 239 is created for special administration structure of the Delhi, and governor is advised by Council of Ministers on all matters except those which are purely at the discretion. So the lieutenant governor is the governing authority in the Delhi, and he is the totally dependent on Council of Minister. This has created ambiguity into a conflict between lieutenant governor and government of Delhi many times. So this question is around on that. So what are the role of Council of Ministry, what are the lieutenant governor's power on discretionary power and all that, and how he should be abide by the advice of Council of Ministers, that is important. Now Article 239, which is relates to union territory and hence concurrence of lieutenant governor in administrative issues of is mandatory. Okay, now the High Court who ruled that even 69 amendment Delhi does not acquire the status of state but remains a union territory. Delhi wanted to become a state, but still that is not a union. It's just a union territory. It's not a state. Okay, so distribution of powers between center and state is clearly demarcated in the constitution. Though such conflict have kept arising time and again, they may not threaten or deviate the overall federal structure of India, but may require more clarity with respect to administration of Delhi. So that particular issue we has been here discussed, we are going to here discuss. Okay, now next question is what here, to what extent Article 370 of Indian Constitution, marginal note temporarily provision with respect to the state of Jammu and Kashmir, temporarily discuss the future prospect this provision in the context of Indian polity. So here is the Article 370 and Constitution, and what is the issue here, the temporary provision with respect to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. This article is very old, as this is now abrogated and there is no now two UTs, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. So this article was basically on the instrument of accession and the main powers of Article 370, like defense, external affairs and communication and ancillary matters, which was on not given to the parliament, but that was governed by the Article 370. But rest of the all matters what was discussed, conflict was discussed by the government. So on other matters listed in union and concurrent list. Okay, so parliament can make law only with the consent of the state. Clause 3 of Article 370 clear, there was a clause in 370 before that. So there was like there should be a new constituent assembly of Jammu and Kashmir is convened and willing to recommend its revocation. So revocation is it's in new news. So this is the totally old question, and there should be a judicial review also, and judicial review on relationship between the state and center should be there. That was the matter before that. Okay, so this was the old question. So we will discuss in current affairs what new changes has been came here. Now question number third. The Indian party system is passing through a phase of transition which look to be full of contradiction and paradox. So what is the Indian party system? What are the paradox and what are the contradictions we want to here discuss? India follow multi-party system first of all. If there is a multi-party system, so there can be like there should be a national party, there can be a state party and district party, and the number of parties are different, parties are different, and again there are like some parties are not working, they are working strongly, some party are winning, some party are losing. Okay, so there are ups and downs always in party system. There is like they are changing their according to the coalition government, also according to the localization also, because members are not stationary, they can change their role according to the situation. That's why party system is not a stationary system. There is the many roles which are continuously changing according to that. So there is lots of problems in Indian party system. So there is corruption issue, there is muscular power, and use of excess functionary, excess fund, and many issues are arise during that period of time. So regional party have grown stronger and indispensable in Indian governments, not only at the state but also at the national level. And central government, it is only 2014 that a party has again managed strongly majority at center. Regional party have also been changing partners, compromising ideology, and frequently to be part of ruling government. So there is ideological differences. Sorry, there is a changing party system differences, and there are lots of differences which are really governing in the Indian party system. An analysis of Indian party system revealed that political party have taken paradoxical stand, which is not time contradictory to its own promises and ideology, because many party are not working according to their own promises and ideology. So there is many contradiction between center and state on the issue of fund, on the issue of functionaries, and on the issue of how to deal with the government rules and regulations. Okay, so these was the functions at that time. So overdeveloped democracy, Indian party have not followed issue of politics and have rarely fulfilled election promises also. These kind of problems arise during the Indian party system. Now question number question number 4 is Kaig, and power is relation to account of union and state is derived from Article 149. Article 149 and Indian Constitution discuss whether audit of the government policy implementation could amount to overstepping its own jurisdiction. So, Article 149 of the Constitution makes provision for the Office of Comptroller and Auditor General of India. The Comptroller and Auditor General Duties, Power and Condition of Service Act 1971. This is the Duties Power Act, provides for the powers and duty to keep his office impartial, independent, and constitutional to make provision under Article 148 to 151. So, what is the key point of this question? What is the Kaig, and which article is derived the Kaig, and discuss whether audit of the government policy implementation could be to overstepping its own jurisdiction. So, it's overstepping its own jurisdiction or not. So, here we are going to discuss like Kaig is the guardian of public purse, traditionally an auditor for the government of union and state. So Kaig was a guardian and keeping watch on expenses made from the Consolidated Fund of India under legislative approval. However, recently Kaig has widened the spectrum by starting performance audit of the government. So there is now the audit, performance audit has been the main function of Kaig. So there is government schemes and expenditure related to them. Okay, so Kaig reports on issue of the license and allocation of 2G spectrum resulted in a huge controversy. So there are lots of controversies, like this question is itself is asking about what are the controversies overstepping towards the Kaig. So one controversy is what there was a 2G spectrum controversy that was around UPA government was there that time. That was a big issue. So that was the assumptions, presumptive values and losses of 1,76,600 crore rupees. Now Kaig report on coal mining allocation. Massive media and political reaction as well as public outrage was there. Now oil ministry also fined 7,000 crore like Mukesh Ambani's company over Mukesh Ambani's company on Mukesh Ambani's company. So to drop in production of gas and violation mentioned in Kaig report. And Kaig requested the government to amend the 1971 Audit Act to bring all private public partnership, Panchayati Raj institution and society getting government fund within the ambit of Kaig. So amendment further proposes to enhance Kaig power to assess information under Audit Act, and the claim of government regarding acting beyond authority by Kaig has been rejected by the Supreme Court of India. Now next question, discuss the each objective attached to the word republic preamble. Are they defendable in the present circumstances? So what is the meaning of republic in the preamble, and this is the defendable in present circumstances or no? We should just justify this. Okay, we should just give the attachment. Okay, so preamble to the Constitution of India describe its sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. This is the four principles sovereign 3SD SSR. 3 as DR, so Sovereign Socialist Secular Democratic Republic. Words socialist and secular were inserted by 42 Amendment Act. Okay, this was inserted in 42 Amendment Act. In the prelims, this question is important. So sovereignty of India lies in the fact that country conducts its affair without interference of any other country or power. And though India has accepted membership of Commonwealth, but it is only ceremonial in nature, and therefore sovereignty is not affected. So what is there? That is the ceremonial power of India, and the Indian membership requirement arising of membership of international organization also cannot be termed as limitation of sovereignty. So that is not the limitation of sovereignty, but it's also conducts its affairs by itself. Not there is no interference from any other kind of power. So India is secular country which gives equal importance to all religion, especially protection and provision in favor of minorities. Okay, spirit of secularism, that is also included in Indian constitution. So that's why the republic word is very important in the preamble for us. Okay, and next is yes, this is defendable for today, according to the today's situation. We can justify like socialism is a philosophy of governments where resources are owned and shared commonly. But what is the Indian economy? It's a mixed kind of economy where the capitalism and socialism both kind of activities are governing. Now LPG policy 1991 term socialist, though true to the spirit of our constitutional system of governments. Okay, now many supporting provision in the constitution, including the directive principle of state policy, are favor of socialism. Democracy is also the favor like universal adult franchise. India is the largest democracy in the world. Democratic institutions in India are maturing with time and experiences. Okay, now next question: what was held in the Coelho case? And in this context, can you say that judicial review is a key importance among the basic feature of constitution? So first of all, what is the basic principle? So basic principle doctrine, Keshwanand Bharti case, state of Kerala. It was said that preamble is over the part of the constitution, and that is the basic structure of our constitution. So we cannot be do anything wrong with the preamble. That was the basic structure, and we should be maintain our basic structure. Okay. Now the next one was the Coelho case, where Supreme Court nine judge bench was there, and they delivered anonymous verdict over basic structure. That was their basic structure should not be violated, it should be protected according to the ninth schedule. If there is a review in the ninth schedule, even then that basic structure should not be violated. Okay, so first 42 constitutional amendment 1976 tried to with the limitations and amending powers and exclude judicial review and any amendment of ground that it violates the power to amend any provision of constitution. So 42 amendment was given there, like there should be a judicial review if there is any kind of part of the constitution which is derogatory power, that is violating the basic structure doctrine, then there should be the government, according to the article 13, government can do anything against that. The basic structure should be maintained. Okay, so it also held that court has power to review any legislation or amendment in case it violate the basic structure. Therefore it was held the judicial review in basic structure of constitution which cannot be excluded. It may be noted judicial review safeguarded important provision of constitution from amending or legislative power of the parliament. Next one is, did the Government of India Act lay down a federal constitution? Discuss. So Government of India Act 1935 provided a diarchy in the center. So in the 1990 there was a diarchy in a state, but there is diarchy in the center. Government India Act 1970 35. Okay. So there was what we are discussing, what is the federal structure. Okay, the British government, though the governor or general of India or viceroy of India would continue to control India as a financial obligation like defense, foreign affairs, and the British Indian Army. So these three important kind of factors was in the hand of the British government. As per act, the British government would like the key point to the Reserve Bank of India, like the appointment of Reserve Bank of India and appointment of Railway Board, that both was according to the Government of India Act 1935. That the act stipulated that no finance could be placed in the central legislation without the consent of Governor General. So the act has increased the power of Governor General also. The funding for the British responsibility and foreign obligations, at least 80% of federal expenditure would be non-votable and be taken off the top before any claim could be considered the social or economic. So there was were very many kind of provisions in this act as to maintain the federal structure of the Government of India. Other was the supervision of the Secretary of State for India was provided with overriding and certifying powers. Other was have allowed him to rule autocratically. There should be like Governor General or Viceroy do have the powers, and they take the powers by Secretary of the State of India and provided overriding and certifying powers also. And federation would be consist of provinces and princely state as units. The act divided subject between the center and state into federal list and provisional list and concurrent list. Okay, and now the act also there was a provision for the federal portion was to be effective, but that was not implemented later, and this never happened, and the establishment of the federation was indefinitely postponed. So outbreak of federation was not taken place because of there was a second world war at that time period. Okay, so that was the discussion over there. Now what is the quasi judicial body? Explain with the help of the concrete example. First of all, what are the quasi judicial body? The body which are resembling as per the court, as per the judiciary power, they are the quasi judicial bodies. As we can give the examples like National Human Rights Commission, National Commission for Women, National Commission for Minority, National Commission for backward class. Now this is changed, now this is constitutional body as well. National Law Commission, National Green Tribunal, National dispute like Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission and Army Tribunal. These all are the quasi judicial body, and their powers are usually very specific in the area, like authority and as a land or zoning, financial, employment, law, public standard, and specific set of regulations are governed for them also. So these bodies are important for us. And for example, the basic function of Security and Exchange Board of India is to protect the interest of investors in security and to promote the development and to regulate the security market, and for matters connected there with incidental there too. So SEBI has to be responsive to the needs of the group which constitute the market, the issue of security, and investor, the market intermediaries. SEBI has three functions. What are the functions? Quasi legislative function, quasi judicial function, quasi executive function. So SEBI, as per that, is also the non-state actor and also the quasi judicial body also. So what it's a statutory body also. So what SEBI works according to that? SEBI works it's safeguard the securities, it safeguard the investors rights, it safeguard the market intermediaries. Okay, and also SEBI works according to the judicial capacity. Now next question, Professor Amratya Sen has advocated important reform in the realm of primary education and primary healthcare. What are the suggestions to improve their status and performance? So Professor Amratya Sen said India is the only country trying to get universally educated and universally healthcare through private sector, like Japan, US, Europe, China, Cuba, Vietnam, Singapore, Hong Kong. All these countries are developed presently, but as per that, India is investing only 4% GDP on education and 2% on healthcare. So that is not enough for the development of any country. Okay, that is not enough. So we should invest more money on the education. We should invest more money on the healthcare system, because we want a developed country. Like Asia and African countries are below average countries. Now government needs to increase budgetary allocation on both primary sectors like health, education, agriculture. So there should be availability, affordability and quality should be improved in all both centers or sectors. Okay, we need that. So Amritya Sen, what he wants to tell about, like what is the basic facilities, availability of good teacher, availability of education system, education policies, and required a drastic change in curriculum and teaching methods. Like government can revisit the existing system, primary education, increase the use of technology, primary healthcare system. They should be providing primary health centers, grassroots level availability of training, medical and paramedical staff, availability and affordability of medicines and medical services, also for the efficient healthcare system. Okay, and India cannot dream of becoming a developed country only by economic growth. It has to be ensure quality education, healthcare and other basic social facility as well. Next question. In the Indian governance system, the role of non-state actor has been only marginal. Critically examine. There is the question. Keywords are it's marginal or not, and role of non-state actors. As we all know, non-state actors like NGO, media, caste-based organization, religious institution, professional society, women group, trade union, universities. So these all organizations are influence over the government to demanding some reforms. Like what kind of reforms are there? Right to education, right to information, right to food security, Manrega, some other social provisions are result of non-state actor persistence. So to maintain the transparency of governance and citizen charter, there should be a government system. So there should be elected government and established bureaucracy. Like what are like absence in the non-state government? There is some absentees, like there is a complex rule and regulation, and there is not a participatory approach, that is like bureaucratic kind of structure. And non-state actors actually are voluntarily working, and they are working with the public participation and democratic participation. But what is the government organization? They are rule-based system. There is rules, regulation, line item budget is there, less participatory approach are there, and hierarchical system is there. So to reduce that hierarchical system, to reduce that rules and regulation, we required some kind of organization which can put pressure over the government to make the government more participatory, and according to the democratic participation and grassroots level democracy should be emerged at per that. So that's why we are working to our economic policies are working, or foreign trade policies are working, and economic growth are dependent over there. So environment NGO has been creating awareness about poor standard and pollution and non-implementation of environment law. Health related groups are there which are working towards their raising issue related to the health, related to the poor farmers and MNCs. Thus, even though political and bureaucratic system has not been welcoming to suggestion and participation, non-state actors have been persistently trying to make governance better by creating awareness in their field. So that was, this is not marginalized. Yes, this is there is some loopholes also, there is some lacunas also, there's some drawbacks also, limitations also, but still they are working up to the government system, so that our government should be more robust, more strong and more accountable towards the common people, we can say this. Okay, thank you.